Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Michael Hjort, Coach Hjort, and I teach AP US History at Rouse High School. And I am teaching one section this year of AP US History. It's actually the least amount of sections I've ever taught, but that's okay, of US History. I have been at Rouse High School since 2009, the year after it opened. Rouse opened in 2008, and I've been there ever since. And so I've seen how Rouse has transitioned into just a wonderful high school. I really enjoy teaching here. And I thought I would just let you know a little bit about your class. I apologize that I am not there this evening. I am also the golf coach, and we had tryouts this evening at Crystal Falls Golf Course. And so I'm hoping to make it back, but just in case I don't make it back, I thought I would make this video that you'd be able to watch, download at any time, and hopefully you're able to watch it. So without further ado, I'm going to turn off the video. And so you can just focus in on looking at what is going on in AP US History. So that is my schedule. I know my name doesn't look like Yacht, but H-J-O-R-T is Yacht. It's pronounced just like a really nice boat. There's my one section, second period of AP US History. In the past, we've had multiple sections of AP US History, and we actually have three sections. Both myself and Mr. Lee, who is the department chair, teaches AP US History. And so this year I was asked, hey, can you also take on a few more sections of AP Human Geography? So that is what I'm doing. I'm teaching actually three sections, as you can see there, of AP Human Geography, which is a freshman level course. But my go-to, what I love to, not that I don't love to teach AP Human, but I've been teaching, this is my 20th year, teaching AP US History. I am an AP reader, an early table leader. I take part in the reading to where I'm helping to establish some of the rubrics and stuff like that. I'm part of the leadership team that is for the AP reading, and I'm also an AP consultant. What does an AP consultant do? I actually go during the summer and teach AP teachers how to teach AP US History. So trust me. And I try to tell the students, trust me, I know what I'm doing. Listen to me, and I'll lead you in the right way. If you have questions, please ask them. I'll be here for you. AP and the STAR test, so AP and STAR test. This class is the only social studies class at the junior level that is STAR testing. And I think this is, if you pass all your other stars, this is the last one, okay? And it's not that hard to pass this one. When students ask me, or parents ask me, hey, do you teach all the standards that are on the STAR? I said, look, I'm teaching you AP US History, and in teaching you AP US History, that's going to take care of anything that's on the STAR. I have yet to have a student fail the STAR test, knock on wood, and all the other different things, and we're not starting this year, okay? So I think our STAR test is supposed to be April 27th, which is actually early. I'm done with my content by then. I'm going to be done with my content by the first week of April. Okay. But I sort of root for that. Hopefully April 27th is the STAR test. And if it is, it will kind of be a precursor, a sneak peek of what the AP exam is going to be looking like. And it's going to be a little bit different STAR this year. And I'll let the students know some of the changes that they're making to it. US History STAR test is a graduation requirement. The one nice thing about AP US History, so our test is May the 5th, and I think the cost of our test is going to be $76 this year. Why should you take the test? Well, at Rouse High School, our pass rate has always been right around 75%. Last year, we were just over 80% of the students that took the test passed the exam. I'm doing some things a little different. I know you learn after 20 years smarter ways to approach this class. And I'm getting it down to a science to where I really can teach students how to prepare, how to write, all that way for that test. This class is probably worth between $3,000 and $5,000. So think about that, college tuition. You're going to pay $76 and save you 6 credit hours. That's how many credit hours this particular test gives you. So you're not only going to save money, but you're also going to save time. Your son or daughter is not going to have to take US History unless they want to take some other history course or something like that. So it's one of the reasons that I try to push all of my students to sign up for the AP exam, and in doing so, we'll get them ready, okay? I always can't guarantee that they're going to pass the AP exam, but we're going to get them ready, and I will be here to help them as much as I can. The scope of the course. So first semester pretty much is pre-Columbian all the way through Reconstruction. Those of you that know your U.S. history, that goes all the way through 1877. My goal always first semester is to kill Lincoln by Thanksgiving. I know, kind of morbid, but I'm doing well pacing wise. If we've killed Lincoln by Thanksgiving, and then we come back and we cover a little bit of Reconstruction review and have a final exam. Then we pick up second semester with the Gilded Age, and I go all the way through the 20th century. Now, if you notice that last little unit there, that War on Terror, I actually cover the War on Terror right around September 11th every single year. So I don't wait until the end to talk about the War on Terror. I hit it just as it's kind of weird. As I finished my first unit, which is 1491 to 1754, pre-Columbian all the way through the French and Indian War, up to the French and Indian War, I then stop, take about two and a half days after they get done testing over Unit 1, and we cover the War on Terror. What caused 9/11, what were some of the effects of 9/11, and the results of 9/11. So we talk about that because this course really is supposed to be taught between 1491 and 2003. We got to get to the invasion of Iraq. That's our main goal, and that's what I will do in this class. APUS grading policy, 45% of your students' grades are going to be tests and quizzes. I have 5 unit exams. I have 3 unit exams first semester. They coincide with the first 6 weeks, second 6 weeks, and third 6 weeks. And then I have 40 plus chapter quizzes. Now, this year we have 70, I think it was 78 class periods. We're down a couple of class periods because we actually started a little bit late. So if I have 78 class periods to teach my students about AP US history and I'm giving them 40 quizzes, I can do the math really quickly. We're going to have a quiz almost every other class. Okay. And in Google Classroom, I give the students the questions and the answers to their pageant quizzes. So for instance, they had a quiz over chapter 1 and 2 the second day of class, and they probably were not happy about that. But I told them, I said, hey, here's all the questions and the answers. And there were about 80 questions and answers that the students had to study between 1491 and about, I don't know, 1650 or 1690, something like that. And I said, hey, here's all the questions, here's all the answers, study them. You just don't know which questions I'm not going to ask you 80. I'm going to ask you about 25, 30 questions. And in doing so, I'm going to give you 7 extra credits on every test that is going to also be content driven. So the students not only are going to get like 20 to 25 questions every time, but they're also going to get 7 extra credits. So they can actually, my goal for them is to score over the grading scale on their quizzes. It has worked out really well. It's one of the ways that I, quote, get my students to read because they're reading my pageant questions. When I say they're my pageant questions, I actually took this textbook called The American Pageant. I can't remember, like 2005. And I read through the entire book. I created 2,500 plus chapter questions. Those questions are money when it comes to content. If students know 75% of those questions before they're taking the exam on May the 5th, they're going to just destroy this exam. They're going to get a 5 and walk away going, woo, I knew everything. So that's 45% of my grade. 30% of my grade is like homework. Okay, I work on a 3-week cycle of homework. So every week the students have something different due. And sometimes there might be a couple of things that are due. And sometimes there might be an assignment that's assigned over a month period. Like we're going to read a book called The Moneyman about the economic history of the United States. But we read it in a month. How do I want to say it? A month at a time. There's 5 chapters. And so it takes us 5 months to read through the book. And in doing so, they're going to answer some questions. And so they might have one week that, let's say, they have some video questions due, but at that same week, they also have their Moneyman chapter questions due. Well, those Moneyman chapter questions have been assigned for over a month. So there could be some overlapping, but most of the time it's a 3-week cycle. We had a summer assignment. I give them a Christmas assignment that they kind of work on, and I actually give that to them before Thanksgiving. So they'll have plenty of time to work on that. And then I have some other homework that assigns, but that's 30% of their grade. Last but not least is 25% of the grade. Anything that we do writing, any skill-based stuff that we do writing. long essays, short answer questions, document-based questions, planning, all this stuff that we're going to be doing in this class is 25% of their grade. Okay, so it kind of gives you an idea of how my grade, it's heavily weighted tests and quizzes, but that other 55% is extremely important as far as doing your homework and then writing, because 60% of their test is writing. I'll teach them how. I'll show them how to dissect and go through the different ways of writing these essays, and we'll practice the heck out of them. But it's up to them to make sure that they're doing their own work. One of the things that I have noticed from students over the past couple of years is the cheat factor has gone up dramatically. So tell your son or daughter, if you want to make sure that you pass the AP exam, don't cheat. Okay, really, that's sort of the secret. Continuous improvement. This is what I allow my students to do. It says all work must be turned in on time. If they turn an assignment late, that's half credit, which is also better than nothing. But if they have, let's say, I told you I work on a week schedule. Okay, every week they have something due. So I'm going to pretend like this week they have videos due. So if this week they have videos due and they don't complete it, but then they complete it within the next following week, I will count it present. Okay, like it was done the day it was supposed to be turned in. So they actually sort of have an extra week to work on and get that stuff done for full credit. But after that, it cuts off. You're going to end up having a missing assignment. I'm not going to allow you to make it up. So make sure that your students are staying on top of their weekly schedule. And so the one thing I will let you know, and I'm going to show this to you here, within AP Classroom, here's all the pageant stuff that I have and all that. I have their chapter readings. Every single week they have a chapter reading that they have to do. And this is based upon something that I was asked to publish by McGraw-Hill. And so I created a study guide for teachers, but it also is good for students. So I'm having the students read it. Then you come down here and here's the video summaries that students, and they have all their due dates. So I have actually uploaded a lot of the students' homework throughout most of this class, so they know when the due dates are. The only thing that they need to make sure that they're doing is just stay on top of things. And so one of the things that I've done for them is put together an academic schedule. So when they click open this document, it literally is a day-by-day schedule of our class. So I'm going to try to stick to that as much as possible. As you saw, I am the golf coach here at Rouse High School, and I will be gone out of class probably 16 times throughout the school year. Okay, for different tournaments, stuff like that. And last year we were very successful. My boys won the district championship and went to the region tournament. And so I'm hoping that we're going to not only take care of business this year for the district championship, but go on and hopefully win the region tournament. I got girls this year that could be playing in the region tournament. So there might be an entire week at the end of the middle of April that I'm going to be gone because of golf. Don't worry. Even though when I'm not here, I'm still going to have either videotapes or video lectures or something that the students are going to be working on. Because the one thing I have done for my students is I've recorded all of my lectures. My first unit is 8 days. So as you can see here, here's all of the lectures that the students have. So if they miss school or I miss school, it's still there. Okay, just to make you aware of that. Going back to my PowerPoint. So APUSH homework, yeah, I don't assign daily homework, but your son or daughter has homework daily. Just make sure they stay on top of that. They're building time management skills, and I should have the 2 words right there. I call them the 2 R words, the R squared, rigor and routine. Rigor and routine are the 2 main qualities that I want students to leave my class with. I want them to know what it's like to be pushed academically. This is a varsity level sport. That's how I feel like they're at the varsity level, and they need to know what it's like to have a routine, because that's what they got to build when they are successful at any university. I want my students to leave my classroom, be able to go into any university in the United States, from Harvard to UTSA to anything that you want to name, and be able to succeed the first couple of years. My students of the past have told me that my writing seminars in my class, the way I run my class has really helped them with rigor at the collegiate level. College Board resources, make sure that your son or daughter has signed into AP Classroom. We will be using AP Classroom throughout the school year. It has a lot of good videos that if they don't understand what I'm talking about, there's other people in AP Classroom that also explain it to them. So make sure that they have access to that and that they've logged into that. My tutorial schedule, as you can see, in the morning I'm there. I'm normally there Monday through Thursday. On Friday, I have a Bible study coach's Bible study that I go to. On Wednesday and Friday, I'm normally there in the afternoon. So I try to be there because we don't have golf practice after school on Wednesday and Friday. So I can be there if your son or daughter needs that little extra help. I'm there. Google Classroom, as I said, drives my course. My video lectures are there. My passion questions are there, and I'm going to have a bunch of skill videos. So it's my job to get your son or daughter prepared for the AP exam on May the 5th, and I'm going to. Okay, some of them might be academically weaker than others. It's just like my athletes. I have really good golfers, and I have golfers that are coming out for golf for the first time. Well, I have kids that are signed up for AP US History for the first time. Never taken an AP course ever before. My job to get them ready. I'm going to try to get them ready as much as I can. And sometimes that might take a little extra. We have to maybe come before school or after school and go over some stuff, but I'll get you there. Okay, trust me. I hope that you have a wonderful evening. Hopefully I've answered all of your questions, but if you do happen to have any questions, my email address is michael.yacht@leanderisd.org. I'd be more than happy to answer emails, or if we have to have a discussion sometime, either on phone or in person, love to do it. Okay. Hey, anytime you want to swing in and watch the course, come and hopefully you enjoy. My students have said the show's good. I break my class into what I call the 30-30-30 rule. 30 minutes that we're doing skills or quizzes, 30 minutes I'm doing lecture, and 30 minutes they're trying to work on their homework. So I try to give them a little bit of time in class to work on their homework and ask questions. Have a lovely evening, ladies and gentlemen, and hopefully had a great open house this evening.